I don't know if anyone remembers, in the early days of One Piece, there was a kind of, I don't know, not controversy, but sort of debate over the word nakama, which I don't know how to describe it. I'm not a Japanese linguist, but it's what Luffy would refer to his crewmates as. It's kind of got a friend slash comrade sort of feeling. It's not necessarily my friend. It's not necessarily like just the random people I work with, but you know, somewhere sort of in between. And I think some of the original like fan suburbs, maybe didn't know how to translate the word properly, like because of its sort of context, so just went the route of just leaving it as is. And then just sort of just saying this is kind of what the word implies, and obviously you got it through context every time it came up. But a lot of people, like, I don't know, for some reason wanted it to be translated, and the concept that you sort of introduced this word into the lexicon was the wrong thing to do or something. I don't know. I don't actually know whether in any of the official translations whether they still leave the word nakama untranslated or not. I haven't actually really paid attention, to be honest. Maybe they just don't say it as much. Like, it was always a concept, you know, the crew and their bond. So they'd be always referring to their nakama. Anyway, so today we've got another compilation. This is volumes 4, 5, and 6 of the One Piece manga. The Viz translation, like I said last week, I'm going back and reading it from the start, and I thought, such a big fan. I don't know if I do have the old Straw Hat Jolly Roger tattooed on my arm. I should probably like actually pay for it, since I've pretty much read fan translations for the last 20 plus years. So I thought while I'm reading it again, I might as well just come on stream and just talk about it. So I don't know if it was done on purpose, how these sagas like fit in. Like obviously the last one was Luffy and Alvida, was that her name? I can't remember already. Then it was it Orange Town? I can't remember. It's the one, you know, Zoro and Axe Hand Morgan, and then the buggy one. And then it started the very, very first few bits of the Syrup Village. And then it ended there. And now this one has the very, very, you know, the rest of Syrup Village. And then just the beginning of the Baratier, just before the big fight starts. So, I don't know. It would have been better if they just, you know, if you bought a manga, it encompassed the entire saga. It didn't sort of end on a cliffhanger. And then have like the last half of one arc and the first half of the next arc in one. But I guess you can't really write around these things. I don't think everyone knew when they wrote it. And I guess it's leaving it on the cliffhangers, you know, how they get you to buy the next one. It is funny when you look at it like, you know, multiple arcs in one volume or one compilation of volumes. I have no doubt that once you get to the Whole Cake Island, Dressrosa, and now Wano, that there are probably like 4 or 5 of these big thick boys for that one arc alone. The concept that a One Piece arc fits into one book is something that only happened at the very beginning. I'm not sure, like some of these things I honestly don't remember how long they were. I remember them being big epics. And a couple of times I've seen where people have referred to like how many chapters a saga was. Like, you know, I know Dressrosa was like 100 chapters in itself. And I don't remember it being long, but I kind of remember like Skypiea and stuff being just as epic, and then finding out it was like 25 volumes or something like that. But I'll get there when I get there, I suppose. I'll find out soon enough. So, yeah, Syrup Village. So we've been introduced to Usopp, who's a particular... He's a weird character. Because he just kind of is the oddball of the crew. You know, Luffy is the charismatic hero. Zoro is the badass with 3 swords. Nami is like, you know, the playful, sexy cat burglar. Later on we get Sanji, who's, you know, debonair, playboy kind of character. And then you have this just goofy guy who looks weird, acts weird. It's not particularly... I know back in the day, when I was sort of really into sort of anime as like a 20-something-year-old, I used to try and get people to watch anime a lot. And I had people who were receptive of it. So I'd introduce them to series and tell them to watch this or lend them stuff. And this is probably around the time of the big three, which was 3 series running in Shonen Jump that were really popular, and they had animated versions that were really popular. Obviously, One Piece was one, Naruto was the other, and then Bleach was the third. And I remember being into all 3 of those in the early days. I fell off Bleach somewhere around the mid part, and Naruto somewhere towards the end. But I remember like showing all these series to people, and people would take Naruto and Bleach and be amazed and go through it. There were several people that I recommended One Piece to and gave One Piece to, and they kind of got into it a little bit, and I can think of at least maybe 4 people in the anime that got to the start where Usopp came into it, and literally gave it up because they could not stand Usopp. And I can sort of see that. He's kind of a shit character to start with. He's in like an acquired taste where, he might taste like shit at the beginning, but then after a while, like it's like a taste that can't be replaced. It's like this, in moderation, but it's like the amazing taste. And that's sort of Usopp, where he does become a cool character, and he's definitely. I don't know how I'd rank the Straw Hat Pirates. Luffy's my favorite, but then if I had to rank the rest, I don't know if I could. They're all kind of fluctuating around the top spot, but Usopp is definitely a contender for at least second or third, maybe, favorite Straw Hat, because he is. Once you get used to him, obviously he's not. He's probably the weakest member. Obviously he's the sniper. That's like his official role on the crew. Something they make a big deal in this chapter that like he's the first one to try and. No, Luffy tries to fire a cannon and he can't hit anything, and Usopp gives it a go and like hits the target straight away. But I don't think there's ever another scene where, like, very rarely is their ship's cannons fired throughout the series. I think maybe once or twice, and I don't think it's ever really shown that it's specifically Usopp firing the cannons. Obviously, much later, when they get the Thousand Sunny, it has the Gowl cannon, which is like a Death Star laser beam in the front, which is fired. I think Frankie fires it. So his role as like the cannoneer, is that a word, on the ship, it's kind of hinted at the beginning, but it never comes of anything. So obviously, he's a sniper. So and legitimately from long distance, like he is legitimately like unbeatable. There are a couple of times where his ability to like hit shots from like kilometers away is like really important. And like he's sort of the heart of the crew, especially like when you get to Water 7 with like the going. I've always said Going Merry, but I know I have seen it translated, and also in the Viz manga it translated to Merry-Go. But I'm going to refer to it as the Going Merry because that's just what I'm used to. When it starts to break down and it has to be left, and he's sort of the emotional center of the crew, really. But I can see why a lot of people would be annoyed by him. Obviously, his name is Usopp, and I know, again, I'm not a Japanese linguist, but I know Uso is like Japanese for lie, and that's his thing. He lies a lot. And I remember hearing that. It's like, oh yeah, that's a kind of funny Japanese pun. There's a lot of Japanese puns in this series. If you know Japanese, or someone who knows Japanese like explains it to you. And I remember thinking, oh yeah, Usopp. That's like obviously a Japanese pun. Great. I do remember when I was very young, I started trying to learn Japanese like at a language school, and my Japanese teacher was like a native speaking Japanese woman. And I remember talking about One Piece, and like, she hadn't heard of it. I don't know whether, she might have. It was really big in Japan. Like One Piece never really, especially in the early days, never really took off in the West, the same as like Naruto and Bleach did. It was like always more popular in Japan than anything else, but it never quite. Anyway, so maybe she was living in Australia and never really came across it, because I'm sure if she was in Japan, she would have come across it and known about it. But I remember talking, and I did say, oh yeah, there's a guy who lies, and his name is Usopp. And I just remember her like breaking out laughing, like hysterics, because apparently she found that so funny that his name was Usopp and he lies. Anyway, so we left off. They just overheard Captain Kuro and Django the Hypnotist talking their plan, and we have basically the classic boy who cried wolf. That's what most of this is just the boy who cries wolf, to get attention and to sort of you know, his parents are dead. No, his mum's dead. His dad's gone off to be a pirate. So I don't know, to get noticed or something, he starts going every morning and yelling that pirates are coming, and everyone gets annoyed at him. And he tells all these tall tales to, is it Kaya? Kaya? Hold on, let's get some pictures going. There's Usopp. One Piece. Kaya? Yeah, that's her. Gives her, you know, tells her tall tale. So he overhears this and he goes running into the village going, oh no, pirates are coming. And of course, no one believes him. And he comes and tells Kaya, and she doesn't believe him, and she gets shitty at him because he's accusing her butler, the one he had a fight with, of being a pirate, and she just assumes he's trying to get back at him by telling fibs about him. And she goes so far as slapping him to get him to stop, and he runs off. And it's like, oh, you know, it's his own fault, you know, the boy who cried wolf story. It's, you know, if you lie all the time, when you finally have to tell the truth, no one's going to believe you. But, you know, they make a point that he's just trying to save this girl, like, you know, he doesn't care about anything else. He just wants to, you know, even if she's not going to believe him, he has to get her away, and she slaps him and says how disappointed, and it's a big emotional thing. And then obviously the payoff, he stops the pirates from ever getting to the village. So the villagers never know that he was telling the truth, and, you know, they were hairbreadth away from being raided and killed by pirates. But her butler, I'm not going to pronounce his butler name. It's Kurohara. It's something hard to pronounce. I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. Oh, fuck it. Let's look it up. Captain Kuro. Let's go to the One Piece wiki. I'm sure I looked this up last. Klahadore. Yeah. He basically reveals himself. I think she's asleep, and he notices that she bought him some nice new glasses, because he's always doing this to, like, fix his glasses. I find out the big reveal for that is his weapon are these giant claws. So he used to, like, to avoid cutting his eye, he always, like, adjusts these glasses, and he kept this habit. And then he reveals himself. He just throws the glasses on the floor and stamps on it. Basically says to, you know, this is, he's not the butler, obviously, because this guy's a butler. He's like just another servant, and he's called Mary, and he's like a half goat man. I think that was just a funny character design Oda came up with. Obviously, later on we know there's a very distinct human and then, like, animal people divide. So who knows whether Mary was, like, you know, the bastard child of a human and a mink, or whether, you know, the fur, the fuzzy hair and the goat horns were just the costume he wore for some reason. Yeah, they do that thing where, you know, Mary goes, oh, he's such a troubled kid, he's such a liar, he said you're a pirate, ha ha ha, and then he's like, Kuro's like, I am a pirate, kill. And he kills, he maims Mary, and just so Kaya can get up the next morning and find his bloody body and be like, oh no, what happened? And he goes, oh no, you were wrong all along, you should feel really guilty about it. Turns out Klahadore was a pirate. Usopp was telling the truth. What a brave lad he was. What a selfless person he was. He tried to save you, and we ignored him, and we threw him out, and he was right all along. That's the big emotional thing, is, you know, this girl realizing that, you know, this boy was such a hero, and she was so mean to him. Anyway, Usopp basically says, you know, a bit of a heroic moment, that he's going to fight the pirates to the death if need be. And stop them from getting to the village, because as far as the villagers have to know, it was just another one of his lies. They don't need to know that he's a hero or that the pirates were going to come. You know, all they need to know is it was just his little prank, the same as always. So I don't know why the scene's in it. They come to, at the beach. There's like a little laneway that's like the one way up. So Luffy, Zoro, Nami, and Usopp are manning it, and they dump oil on it, so they slip, and they're going to defend it because that's the only way in and out. So they'll stop the pirates there, and then find out that there are actually two entrances to two different beaches, and they're at the wrong one. So I think maybe it's just to separate them. They realize, oh, there's like another pathway. It looks exactly the same, it functions exactly the same, it's just not this one. So Luffy runs off, Usopp runs off. Nami does this weird thing where she falls in the oil and starts slipping and grabs Zoro and pulls him down. And and then she managed to climb over him and gets up and runs off because she realizes that they left their boats at that other beach, and that's where all her treasure is, and that's Nami's big thing, especially early on, is treasure. So Zoro's incapacitated, trying to climb up this slippery wall. Turns out Luffy doesn't know which way north is, and he just runs. I think he says he runs in the direction that he thinks is coldest, because that's north. So it turns out Usopp gets there first to meet the oncoming pirates. He manages, even though they could hear them from across the island shouting, he manages to run all the way there, and by the time he gets there, like, the pirates haven't like come the 50 meters up this ramp yet, but whatever. And he puts on a brave face. Nami turns up, and you get, you know, some of the first Nami Usopp moments, all the way throughout the series. Like, they're like obviously the weakest members of the crew. Nami, like, physically, she's the weakest. If you ever got into just a pure fist fight, Nami would by far be the weakest. But obviously she develops her like weather lightning powers. So her ability to like summon bolts of lightning and she does the mirage thing, and she can do wind stuff. That makes her, you know, fairly handy in a fight. Usopp arguably is more muscular and stronger, but he constantly gets beat up, so he's not a close range fighter, and he can snipe from distance. So Nami is arguably stronger than Usopp, but they're both technically the weakest members. So they do a lot of like interaction throughout the series, Usopp and Nami. So this is the first time you see them sort of interact and argue and try to out-coward each other by trying to get away and make the other ones sort of step up and distract everyone. Chopper's kind of usually involved. They're kind of called like the weak trio, even though Chopper is like a lot stronger than either of them. Like, he's actually a frontline fighter with a lot of like strong powers and with his different forms, but I think he's just not really a fighter at heart, so he tends to like hang back and hide with Usopp and Nami. But anyway, it's fun to see like the first like interaction between them. They throw out these, I can't remember what they're called, the little spiky triangular things. They throw those out so that the pirates step on them, and then they realize, oh no, they've actually put them behind them, and they've kind of trapped themselves between patches of these spiky things. But then they all but disappear after that. It's like, oh no, we've like trapped ourselves here. Like, there's spikes in front of us, so the pirates are stepping on them, but there's also spikes behind us, so we can't retreat. And then it's never mentioned again, like ever. Like, it never comes up again. So the pirates like get to them and beat up Usopp with a big stone hammer. But then luckily, Luffy and Zoro turn up, and it's all good. Usopp and Nami can retreat to the sideline. And we get like a bit of a fight where Zoro fights these two like kind of wussy looking cat people that are kind of dressed in like weird. One of them's got like effeminate, like tight and short clothes, and one is like a kind of fat guy. And he fights them. There's a little thing where he loses two of his swords, so he's fighting one sword style and he's not that good, so they have to get these other swords, and when he gets these 3 swords, he one-shots everyone. Oh yeah, Django, the hypnotist, he's the only person in the crew that's not cat themed, which I always thought was weird. Like, Captain Kuro, like, they're the Black Cat pirates, so Kuro, some of his moves, I don't know, they're translated as like Pussy Willow, the Pussy Willow maneuver, and I think that was even the same in the early translations I saw, but his moves are at least cat themed, and all the pirates have like cat ears and makeup with like whiskers, and these two other fighters are the Nyanban brothers, I think, which is like Meow Nyan or something. And they're cat themed, they got cat costumes on. And then there's Django, who looks like Michael Jackson. So he never really fit the theme of his crew, but he, you know, the hypnotist, he hypnotizes the troops to like forget their injuries and get strong. And it does this thing where like either he himself or Luffy or some other bystander will get hypnotized at the same time. So he goes, you guys are super strong, go! And then Luffy also gets hypnotized to be super strong and just counters them. It's and it all culminates when Captain Kuro turns up, and he's a pretty badass. Like, he's not around long enough to be a particularly interesting villain, but like, you do kind of get the feeling that he's able to just murder anyone at a whim. You know, all his crew are like terrified of him, and the two cat brothers kind of stand up to him and say, you know, you've been sitting in luxury, lounging around for 3 years, you can't possibly be that strong. And he does a thing where he flicks behind them and he's got his massive cat claws. And you kind of get the feeling that, yeah, he's kind of a badass. And Kaya turns up, and the culmination is Luffy fights him. It's the first, this is the sort of first multi battle where you've got like multiple different fights going on at the same time. Up until now, there's sort of, you know, one fight, then one fight. But this is the first time there's like multiple squabbles going on. But it culminates in Luffy fighting Captain Kuro. And it's kind of interesting. It's not very long, but it's interesting enough. Luffy does a thing where he manages to get a boulder, picks a boulder up, and like waits for Kuro to like try and stab him. So he stabs the boulder, and he can break his claws. And then he wraps his arms up, legs up with his rubber arms, so he can't move around. Because Kuro's big thing is he got these like bursts of speed, where it goes really quick, and he can appear behind you. And his super move is where he kind of just goes so quick and flings around, but he can't tell what he's doing, so he's just like constantly attacking and flicking around randomly, and if you happen to be in his way, you just get killed. So it's kind of like a crapshoot of who he's killing, so he uses it when he's not particularly bothered who dies. But, you know, Luffy catches him, and he stretches his head out and headbutts him and wins the day. Kaya's like, oh, Usopp, I'm sorry, you know, I didn't believe you and all that. Usopp decides he's going to go to sea. He's going to go by himself to sea. For saving the village, they give Luffy and his crew a ship. Yeah, the Going Merry. I wonder what... If I look up Going Merry, I wonder how... If it's... Yeah, Going Merry. Going Merry Go. Okay, so Going Merry and the uncut dub, Merry Go and the Viz edited dub. I don't know what that means. What's the uncut dub? Yeah. Anyway, so there's the Going... There he is. The Going Merry. It's like sheep themed because Merry, the not butler of the house, is kind of a goat man. I wonder if I can... There he is. Merry. See? So, for some reason, he had a ship on hand that kind of looked like himself. I think he designed and built it. So, I don't know, that's a kind of... He must have a pretty high opinion of himself and be a little bit vain to design a ship. The masthead looks kind of like him. Anyway, so now the Straw Hat Pirates have their own ship. And, of course, they just say to Usopp, you idiot, you're coming with us, obviously, and they go. Yay. And that's the end of the Syrup Village. So they defeat Captain Kuro, they save the village, they save the girl, and they get a ship and a new crew member. The next bit is, you know, they're standing around and they do that thing I mentioned before with the cannon where Usopp is able to use the cannon to destroy a rock. And then two people come aboard. And they think that they were apparently on that rock. So they think they were being targeted by pirates on purpose. And they go on board to Rampage. Is his name not Johnny? Hold on. Johnny and... I thought his name was Johnny. Johnny and something. Oh no, before... Yeah, they officially designed the straw hat insignia for the flag. This. They have the scene where Usopp is the one that draws... Usopp's like the one that can do everything else. He's like the odd job guy. You know, he can fix things, he can repair things, he can make things. A lot of Nami's, I think even later weapons, Usopp makes for her. And like he's the one that draws the flag because he's skilled. Alright, so, hold on. It is Johnny. I spelled it wrong. Johnny. Johnny. There he is. Johnny. Johnny and Yosaku. Two other bounty hunters. Now, bounty hunters are a thing that don't really come up much in One Piece, considering the big thing is, you know, pirates have bounties, so they're worth it's not it's a little bit a power level like Dragon Ball Z, where they do the scouter and it's like your power level's 50,000. Bounties kind of act a little bit like that. Not necessarily just how strong a pirate is, but how infamous they are. But it also kind of corresponds to power. You kind of expect a pirate with a super high bounty to be physically strong as well. So obviously, if people putting out bounties on people, there must be people who try and claim those bounties. Like, you know, people might, you know, pirate attacks their village, they knock them out, and they go, oh, well, we can get the bounty now. But obviously, there must be people who go out there and that's their job. And that's what Zoro is at the beginning. And they meet these two other people who are bounty hunters. But after this, bounty hunters don't turn up much. It also makes you wonder why some of the like the Yonko, like the Emperors of the Sea, why do they have bounties at all? Because it said that Navy people can't claim bounties. So if you're like a registered like Marine, and you beat a pirate, you can't claim their bounty. It's like that's your job to fight those pirates, so you can't go and claim the bounty. You have to be a member of the public, I guess. You know, and so what member of the public could hope to, you know, kill and capture, or capture, well, kill, no, the bounties do say dead or alive. You know, Big Mom. Like, which bounty hunter is ever gonna, you know, if anyone's gonna like, incapacitate a pirate like that, it'll be another pirate, which is they're probably not gonna, you know, go to a Navy facility to try and claim the bounty, or like a Marine, you know, or a group of Marines, and they can't claim the bounty. Anyway, so we got these two characters that come on board, and they're Zoro's old friends. Like, Zoro knew them a while ago, and I think they teamed up for a while. And these two characters are kind of fun, but they're only around for a short amount of time, and they don't really ever come back up. I'm pretty sure they don't. Baratier Arc, Island Park, during time skip. Oh, they decided to become fishermen in Kokoyashi Village. Which is Kokoyashi Village? Oh, we're Nami. So they're basically, we're Nami. We're not there yet. Okay. But yeah, they kind of never came up after that little, you know. A lot of One Piece characters, you know, side characters and friends reappear at some stage and have some purpose, but those two characters, apart from that this little jaunt here, never come up again. One of them's got scurvy, and Nami, you know, gives him lime juice to cure the scurvy. And they're talking about how they're going to the Grand Line, but they're also kind of hungry, and they realize they need some sort of cook. So they got a navigator, they got a guy who can kind of fix stuff and you know, fire stuff and sharpshoot. They got a couple of strong fighters, and their captain, obviously. They kind of need a cook as the last thing they need before they attempt the Grand Line. So the two bounty hunters, Johnny and Yasuko. Was that what I... Oops. I can never remember this guy's name. It's one of those ones where I just read all the time, but I don't really remember it. Yosaku. Yeah, there's like a floating restaurant this way. We'll guide you there. It's a floating restaurant, and you can get some grub. You might be able to find a cook. So they go there, and they run into a Navy ship, led by... I don't know what his rank was. He's called Full Body. His character, I kind of forgot that, yeah, both Full Body, even though he's in the Navy already, I think he gets demoted and then he works his way back up. And Django. Django joins the Navy, which is funny because there was a big thing when Kobe wanted to be a Navyman. They had to, you know, they made a big point about anyone who was or, you know, associated with pirates in any way can't join the Navy, can't join the Marines. But yeah, Django, they fully know he was like the first mate / acting captain of a pirate crew, but he gets to join the Navy. I don't know. But yeah, they join the Navy, and I think they get kind of high ranks, and they're just in the background every now and then, but I kind of forgot that happened. Oh, sorry, my alarm's going. Yeah, so Full Body fires a cannon at them, and Luffy does his Husen, or balloon, and he deflects it, but he accidentally deflects it to the floating restaurant Baratier. There's so many words that I'm so familiar with. Baratier. Yeah, so many words I'm familiar with it because I just read them, I never have to pronounce them, so... So yeah, he accidentally deflects a cannonball and hits the ship. So he ends up kind of working there as like a, you know, kitchen dish boy or whatever. They say he's going to work there for a year. Luffy doesn't want to, he says a week, but then they say you can't work off, you know, you blow a hole in our building, you can't just work it off in a week. You get a couple of fun scenes where Luffy is doing his best to like help, but he's just more trouble than he's worth. So, and we meet Sanji for the first time. Sanji is the assistant, second in command chef of the floating restaurant, and he's kind of a takes no shit person. You know, Full Body is with a date, and he's trying to impress her, and he says something about wine, and he's wrong, and Sanji, like, because all the waiters left, so all the chefs have to like cook and serve. And he says something about the wine being, I don't know, something, and Sanji's just like, no, that's shit, like, you don't know what you're talking about. And one thing you learn about Sanji is, like, he's very particular about wasting food. Like, he gets the shits if you waste any food, and that you know, that's part of his character and it's part of his backstory we'll get to. Actually, no, he won't, because his backstory isn't in this volume. Oh well. And you find out, like, he's got a thing for the ladies, like, you know, and Nami instantly tries to exploit it to her benefit, which is kind of funny because I guess she does every now and then kind of indulge. That's their dynamic, really. Is like he's not really that pervy with her. Like, he makes a big thing over her, like, Nami Swan, and he'll get the big hard eyes and he'll twirl and he'll make a big thing, and Nami will be like, oh. It's not like he ever like tries to touch her or, you know, tries to be inappropriate with her. He just like makes a big show and tell. And then, yeah, probably Nami does, like, sometimes indulge him, like, oh, Sanji, you're so strong, if she wants something. This initial encounter, she definitely, you know, before they sort of know each other, she definitely, like, indulges him to get, I think, the special cake or something, about a dessert, and then, yeah, doesn't want to pay for it. So he's like, oh, it's so expensive. He's like, oh, for you, it's free. And it's just funny because, yeah, later on, like, the dynamic, he's sort of the same, but she kind of is over it by like the second time it happens. But this initial one, she like goes with it and gets what she can out of him. And then, yeah, they start these rumors about the Don Krieg pirates. This is one of those like early things that doesn't quite mesh with later in the series, because Don Krieg is like the pirate admiral, and he commands 50 ships and 5,000 men. Which is a large number, especially like sailing around what, you know, the East Blue is supposed to be the small, like, weak, uneventful sea, but there's like a guy sailing around with like an admiral with like a fleet of 50 ships. Like, that should have been a bigger deal than it was. Like, people should be fearing, and like everywhere you go, you should be being swarmed by Don Krieg ships. But apparently, like, he didn't make much of. He made a name, but people weren't too concerned. But yeah, then he went off to the Grand Line with these 50 ships. And when you see how they get to the Grand Line, and that, you know, when we meet other pirate crews later on, I don't think really anyone has 50 ships under their command. I know, like, Whitebeard has 10 ships, I think, or something. And he's got a lot of, like, allied crews, but they're not, like, his crews. Like, he has, you know, later on, like, he calls his allied ships and his friends to his aid. And, like, a lot of ships turn up, but they're not all his ships. Like, Blackbeard, I think, has... Is it 10 or 12? Is it the 10 Titanic captains or whatever? I can't remember. Anyway, like, even Luffy, like, his grand fleet of allied ships isn't that many, so, you know... Don Krieg had, like, a lot, apparently, like, a lot of people, like, an ungodly amount of people, even, like, for later on in the series, when other pirates and other crews. Not that many people had that sort of manpower and that kind of fleet under their command, apparently. But yeah, apparently he went off, I'm saying apparently way too much. Have you seen that YouTube video where that kid just says apparently like every 2 sentences? I feel like that kid. Anyway, he tried to go to the Grand Line, and within a week or something, he got fucked up. and he had to come crawling back. He's only got his flagship left, and only about 100 of his 5,000 crew members. So it's heavily implied that the other 50 ships like were destroyed, and the other 4,900 men died. So yeah, the first you see is I think it's his first mate. Is it Gin? Again, I only just read this like literally today. Yeah, there he is. Gin turns up. He's like, I'm so hungry. Like, I think he straight up says, I'm Don Krieg's, apart from Don Krieg or his first mate or his staff. I don't know. He definitely says that, but he wants food. And the other chefs, like, what is it? The other chefs on the Baratier. There's a lot of like generic chefs that just wear the chef outfits. There's one generic chef that kind of becomes more of a unique. He's got like glasses on. But then there's, what's his name, Clancy or something? This guy. What's it? There he is. Petty. No, I was wrong. And then yeah, this guy, Meatmaster Khan. Yeah, he isn't quite as recognizable as old Patty here. Look at this guy. I always loved this guy's design. Yeah, this other guy's, he looks almost the same as all the other generic chefs. He's just a little bit unique. Anyway, basically tells him to get fucked because you ain't got no money, so you're not a client, so we don't give a shit. And kicks him out, also because he's a pirate, and he's afraid. Oh no, he's not actually, because they say maybe we should feed him, because if we're if we're mean to him, and Don Krieg finds out, he'll come and get us. But he doesn't care and kicks him out. But Sanji, finds him outside and gives him food, and Jin is very legitimately thankful that Sanji, still gave him food. Even though, he's a pirate, he doesn't have any money, he's already been kicked out of the restaurant, Sanji still feeds him. So Gin goes back to the flagship where Don Krieg is and says, basically, I found somewhere that fed me. And he brings Don Krieg back. What does Don Krieg look like? Let's get a... Krieg? No. Come on, I got closer. No. I before E. There he is. Good old Don Krieg. Brings him back and he says, feed me, feed me. I actually have money. I have money, so I can actually pay, so I'm a customer. And I think it's a little bit of like, oh, he's one of the most powerful, deadly people in the sea, but like he's vulnerable now, so we'll take this opportunity not only not to feed him, but to give him shit and laugh at him. And they bring up about how they went to the Grand Line and failed so miserably. But then Sanji, again, comes out with food and feeds him. And it's actually kind of funny. Don Krieg eats the food, and there's not even a 10-second break between him being thankful for the free food and, alright, I'm going to kill you all and take your ship now. It's like the fastest heel turn in history almost. Yeah, he does that. Like, he eats food and basically says, yeah, I'm going to kill you all and take your ship because I'm a bad guy. This is what we have met Zeph. I was going to look this up anyway. So I remember him calling Red Leg Zeph, but in the Viz Media it's Red Shoe Zeph. Yeah, Red Leg Zeph. Okay, so I guess Red Leg in the original, but he's translated as Red Foot. It doesn't matter. I like Red Leg because obviously Sanji's Black Leg Sanji. So, there's like a parallel between them. Apparently, the reason it's red leg is because he kicks people so hard that the blood of his enemies stains his leg and makes it red, which, it's kind of cool, kind of violent. Yeah, so only Zeph comes out, and they say, oh, we know you. You're a legendary pirate who actually went to the Grand Line, so you have a logbook. You sailed around for a year, so you have a logbook of stuff. I want that, so I know about the Grand Line. Because Don Krieg thinks he could have done better than his 1 week decimation if he actually knew something about it. So basically says he's gonna go away and he's gonna come back soon and he's gonna take the ship, he's gonna take the logbook, and everyone else has to leave or they'll get killed. think it's right about here that Johnny and Yasuko come in. Oh, it's around about this time. I forget the exact chain of events, but yeah, it all works out. They come in and basically tell them that Nami has stolen their ship. She stole all the treasure off their ship, pushed them off the Going Merry, and sailed off with the Going Merry. And Luffy's just like, no, we got to go after her. Like, I've decided she's our navigator. Like, I don't really care what happened. I don't really care what the circumstances is. I chose her as a navigator, so we have to get her back. And he's going to send Usopp and Zoro, along with Johnny and Yasaku, to go and get her again. And they're just about to leave, and then who should turn up? It's our first introduction to Dracula Mihawk, aka Hawkeyes. He was kind of brought up earlier. He is the strongest swordsman in the world, and I think Zoro mentions that he's his target. If he can beat him, he'll attain the title of strongest. So it's kind of who he's been looking for. And we find out that, like I mentioned last week, that when they refer to the Grand Line in early One Piece, they talk about how dangerous the sea is, you know, and how basically like it's so deadly, just being there, like you'll probably get fucked up. And then when they do go there, it's just like a normal sea with islands with normal people living on them. They kind of set up right at the beginning that like the sea is so dangerous that even like the 50 ships of Don Creed's fleet go there and like are decimated in a week. But they kind of refined that a little bit, where it wasn't really the sea or the dangers within the sea that got them. It's they accidentally ran afoul of Mihawk, who is just fucking around and just came across them and decided that. At first, like when you think about it, like I said before, like 49 of the 50 ships were destroyed, and then like 4,900 of the men were killed, and it's implied that Mihawk did it. So, without knowing anything else, the first impression is that literally he murdered almost 5,000 men for no other reason that he was bored and he wanted something to do. That's never really brought up much, but like in context, that's what happened. He murdered like a lot of people for no reason, and now he's so bored that even though like 100 people managed to get away in like a leaky boat, he decided to follow them all the way from the Grand Line to here, just to finish them off, because he's kind of an asshole. But then Zoro pipes up and says, you know, I want to fight you. You know, you're my target. I want to be the greatest. And Mihawk's like, nah, you're shit. And Zoro's like, nope, I'm definitely going to fight you. I'm definitely going to beat you. And Mihawk's like, you can fight me if you want. I don't care. He's got like a little pendant. He's got like a little micro sword. It's like that big. He's like, all right, I'm going to fight you. I'm just going to insult you by using this little kid's toy piece of shit. And Zoro tries to fight him and gets owned, even though Mihawk's using like a toy knife. He still beats Zoro. But Zoro proves his ambition and his guts and his determination. And Mihawk's kind of impressed. He says, like, you know, wow, it's like the first time in a while I've actually seen some level of like, not just bravado and you know, stupidity and like throwing yourself away. It's like he recognizes some level of actual determination and ambition in this person. So he's kind of impressed. And Zoro's just like, you know, I can't. I think he gets stabbed, and he doesn't move. He says, I can't even take one step back, because even one step would be a retreat, and you know, I'm not going to achieve my dreams if I even take, you know, even if I take one step back from this position, that's a retreat, and there's no way I can ever achieve my dreams. I think that's more or less what he says. And Hawkeyes is impressed, and Zoro basically puts his arms out and says, you know, if you're going to kill me, you know, you slash my front, because wounds on the back are a swordsman's... What's the actual word he uses? Shame, I think. Swordsman's shame. And, you know, Mihawk kind of gets a smile on his face, and he kind of likes this kid's guts and chutzpah. Is that the word for it? So he takes out his big sword. Like, what is Mihawk's sword called? It has a name. Let's look that up. Mihawk. Dracula Mihawk. Weapon. Appearance. personality, relationships, somewhere around. There it is. Okay. Kogatana. No, that's his little shitty knife. Yoru, that's it. Yoru. Takes out Yoru, which is the strongest sword. It's one of the Meito grade Supreme Blades. And chops Zoro down his chest. And Luffy, like, he's in on the sideline, and Johnny and Yasuko want to go save him, and he's like holds him back and says, like, you see Luffy is like shaking, like he's worried and scared, but like he's like, this is his dream. Like, I gotta let him fight the fight, regardless of how it goes. You know, even if he's about to die, like I can't interfere with this fight of his, and I can't let anyone else interfere. This is like his big thing. Luffy like comes across, and he's kind of upset, and Mihawk kind of says to him, look, he's not dead. You know, I didn't kill him, don't worry. If you fix him up now, he'll be alright. And he encourages Zoro then to, you know, go and experience life, sail the seas, have experiences, get stronger, and come back to fight me one day. So this is like Mihawk being, you know, honorable. You know, he sees the potential in the young man, and he doesn't kill him, he injures him, gives him a big wound that I think Zoro has like the scar across his from this for the rest of the series. You know, go and challenge me one day, but you just get stronger, because like I see the potential. I've acknowledged you, even though, like I said, 10 minutes beforehand, we found out he murdered 4,000 people for no reason. But now he's brave and honorable. And after this, he's sort of like, all right, I've had my fun. Like, I've destroyed some stuff. I met this cool guy. I kind of gave him like a bit of an initiation type thing, and I'm good now. I'm all good. And he sails off. Zoro's injured though, but you know they pack him on a boat, wrap him up, and Usopp and him and Johnny Yasako sail off to find Nami, leaving Luffy there to fight the fight, because he basically says, you know, I'm still kind of employed here. I'm still trying to pay off my debt for breaking it. And also, I want the cook. Like, he has a little chat with Sanji, and he sees, oh yeah, there's a Sanji and Zeph's whole thing is they'll serve hungry people. That's the long and short of it. Like, that's why Sanji kind of gives food to the people that get kicked out, and Zeph sort of like agrees with him on this point, so he never pulls him up on it. We find out later next volume. You know, if you're hungry, I will feed you. That's the job of a chef. Like, I don't pick and choose. You know, I know for a fact, like, when he gives Jin and Don Krieg himself this food, like, he knows the people that they are, and he knows what the ramifications possibly going to be. But, like, you're hungry, I will feed you, is his motto. So Luffy sort of sees this, and he's decided that this man is going to be the chef for his ship. So he doesn't want to leave yet, because he's still sort of, like, employed. He wants the chef, and also I think he's just got to, like, you know, this place is in trouble. I'm not going to, like, you know, just leave it, even if I can. Like, I feel not responsible, but just like I want to help them. And he makes a deal with Zeph. He says, if I fuck these people off, you got to release me from my debt. And Zeph's like, well, you're really shit at working here. I don't think you'd probably cause more trouble than anything if you were to stay the year that I wanted you to. So yes, all right. If you can beat them up and get them away, I'll release you, and we'll call it square. And Luffy's like, cool. And then it's the end of this particular, unless I'm forgetting something. Let's just go to the end. No, I think that's definitely the end. Oh yeah, the Patty and the other chef guy, I can't remember his name now. They launched like a little like assault vehicle from the main restaurant ship, and they get like beaten up straight away. So yeah, that's a second volume compilation. Volumes 4, 5, 6 of One Piece. Syrup Village I like. It's the first kind of little arc where there's a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of, you know, it's a bit more of a, I wouldn't say adventure, but up until now it's like they get somewhere, there's a bad guy to fight, they fight the bad guy, and then they leave. This one, like, they get there, and initially when they get there, there's nothing going on. Yeah, nothing going on. Like they meet Usopp, they go to a restaurant, they shoot the shit for a while. Usopp sort of gives them, you know, what the sort of deal with this village is. You know, he goes off to talk to Kea. The Straw Hat Pirates kind of hang around, like, oh, we need to get a ship. Let's, you know, hang around and see what we can do. Then, you know, the bad guy's introduced. And there's a little bit more, like, stuff that happens, and then there's a battle at the end. So this is the first arc that there's, you know, like I said, breathing room. They kind of set up what the village is like, and they kind of just hang around and do stuff for a while. Obviously, when we get to later arcs, you know, that go for 100 chapters, there's a lot of, like, they get there, they hang out, they see, learn the history of the village and the backstory of every individual character. You know, 5 different events go on through the course of the arc, you know, and then they fight bad guys throughout, and then there's a bad guy at the end. So this is the first, like, kind of microcosm of the later arcs, where there is more, now, you know, there's some world building in the village and what happens and the people and the yeah, like I said, the Black Cat Pirates are kind of weird. The only notable people, like I said, are Django, who isn't cat themed, doesn't fit in at all. He does sort of turn up as a marine later on. The 2 weird cat guys, which are kind of, you got that kind of early Oda design. Kuro, like I said, he's a kind of cool villain. There's not much to him. His whole thing was, he was a pirate, and he was kind of infamous, I guess, just around East Blue. But he kind of got the shit with people constantly being after him, because he kind of had notoriety, so other pirates in the Navy were always trying to, like, find him and kill him. And he just had enough of that shit, so he put this plan in place where a Navy ship was coming to get him, so he went over and, like, killed all the Navy people except for one, which I think, looking back, I think it was X-Hand Morgan. I think it's actually Morgan. I think that's why Morgan had that level of authority and had that rank. I think that's the case. I saw that today, but I gotta make sure I'm not wrong. Yeah, there you go. He was. So yeah, he was just a random survivor that Kuro left of this Navy crew that was after him. And then he gets Django to hypnotize another member of his crew, the shipwright or something, who kind of looks like him. Hypnotizes him to say, "I'm Captain Kuro." And he hypnotizes Morgan to say he's the man that captured Kuro, like he's responsible. And then, yeah, so the Navy basically thinks that they've captured Captain Kuro, and they execute that guy, and he's dead, he's gone, his bounty's rescinded. And Kuro himself leaves the ship, finds this island with this rich girl. I don't know whether he killed the parents. I think he says that something like he didn't actually have a hand in the parents' death. They actually just died by accident, but I don't know if that's true. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But he plays the part of the butler. He gets the trust of the village. Everyone likes him. He's the steadfast, reliable butler. And his plan was, though, that, you know, he disappeared off the radar. The Navy thought he was dead. He went to this village and, like, integrated himself, got liked. And now 3 years later, 3 years later, his old pirate crew returns. He's going to use Django basically to hypnotize Kea, the young girl, to write a new will that says, "I leave everything to the butler." And the pirates are going to come and, like, ransack the village, and during that, you know, accidentally, they're going to kill the girl, but I think they want to make it look like an accident, which I don't know why they just don't kill her, because, like, you know, she dies by an accident, she dies by pirate. I don't think it matters, you know, in terms of the will and what's going to happen to her estate. Anyway, so they kill the girl. Kuro inherits the estate and all the money. He gives his old pirate crew a little share of it so that they're happy and they go off and forget they were ever associated with him. He gets the money. He's like, you know, no one blames him. No one says, like, oh, wow, you know, it was totally his fault that, you know, pirates came and attacked. Like, what are you going to do? And of course, like, she left it to him. Like, who else is she going to leave it to? Like, her parents are dead. She has no other relatives. So she left it to the butler. That's not so strange. And he just lives the rest of his life in comfort, being rich. And he kind of says he's sort of comfortable with people liking him. So I don't think he's going to, like, associate with anyone, but, you know, he'll walk to the village to get some groceries and everyone's like, hey, you're cool, hello. And that's comfortable for him. And he's just going to live the rest of his life like that. He does say after that, obviously he's going to kill his pirate crew. Like, if he pulls off this scheme, you know, but his pirate crew still know his secret, that's like a huge liability. Even if like they're scared of him, like if they just like decide one day that they're gonna like blackmail him. So of course he's gonna kill his old pirate crew. I know he's referred to. Oda said like he's the smartest in the East Blue Saga. Anyway, he's the smartest character. I think his name is even like Thousand Plan Kuro. Like he's known for his intelligence and his forward planning. I think he says that Nami is like the second smartest character, but I think Kuro is the smartest character. Specifically, he says that. Yeah. What else is there to say about it? Nah. I'll probably talk more about the Baratier stuff next week when I've concluded that arc. I don't really want to talk too much about the characters because there's still a bit more of that to come. Usopp's. Did I talk about Usopp's backstory? Like, at some point, I think red-haired Shanks comes through the village and just convinces Yasopp to join him. And his wife's apparently on board with it. His wife and young child, his wife's like, yeah, totally, go off and leave us and be a pirate. That's cool. That's fine. I'm on board with that. And Yasopp does. He leaves his family never to return, and they're really cool with that. I don't know whether this was just Oda didn't want to cast Yasopp like an absent father that literally abandoned them, and the wife and child were like devastated and mourn his past, mourn him leaving or be angry at him leaving. So I don't know. They're on board with it. And then she dies of just mysterious disease. And even at the end, it's like, I'm proud of your father for leaving us and going off to be a sea adventurer. I'm proud of him. And then she dies. So, and Usopp never blames his father either. He never like curses his name and said, how dare you go off and leave us? And Mum died, and maybe she would have died if you were there. So he's really into his dad and being a pirate. So, at the conclusion of the arc, after seeing Luffy and Zoro kick ass and they're going off to be pirates, he sort of decides to himself that he's going to be a brave warrior of the sea, is what he says. That's his dream, to be a brave warrior of the sea, sort of, like his dad. He sometimes says it's like his dad, sometimes he's just a brave warrior of the sea. So yeah, in the grand scheme of things, Usopp's backstory is not that sad. Like, yeah, his mum died from a disease. There's a lot of parent death for the Straw Hat crew, and just dying of a disease isn't really one of the worst ways they go. Obviously, his dad's still alive. Like, obviously, there'll be at some point where the Straw Hat crew and meet up with Shanks and his crew, and Usopp will probably reunite with his father, and so like his father's still there. But his dream as well is very vague. It's just going out, and he tells a lot of lies about his adventures he has. So, he kind of wants to be able to tell these weird tales and have them actually be true. There is some evidence that some of the lies he tells like do end up happening. He tells a lie about a giant goldfish, and later on, like, there is a giant goldfish. So I don't think everything he says necessarily has come true, or sometimes it's a bit of a stretch to like fit events that happen to try and mold them into one of the lies he told. But yeah, he kind of wants the lies he tells, like the stories, the tall tales he tells of his adventures, to actually be his adventures. Which, yeah, obviously by this point he has lots of tall tales he could tell that of stuff that actually happened to him. Yeah, Usopp is a good character, but he's a bit annoying early on, especially like if you watch the anime. His like voice is kind of annoying. Again, it's something that you grow to love. But yeah, his antics and his voice and his design, I can see why people wouldn't like him straight up. What else is there to say? I don't think there's anything. I think I've covered. Mihawk doesn't turn up again until much later. I think the next time we see him is when he encounters Shanks and he has a conversation with Shanks. I don't think we even know he's one of the warlords yet. I don't think we know about the warlords. The 7 like officially sanctioned pirates. That their plunder is kind of legal, but on the flip side, they're there to discourage other pirates, and if they're needed, the Marines, the Navy, or the world government can just call them to service. He's one of them, but I don't think we know that until much later. This is, again, potentially when the story was going to be a lot shorter and smaller than it ended up being. Um, yeah, all right. Nothing much more to say, so I'll leave it there.